Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Before I get started here, I would like to let you know that a friend of mine also does some news shows on YouTube, and he calls his show Revolution News and Information. And you might want to look that up on YouTube and subscribe to that if you haven't already. His name's Toasted. He does a pretty good job. I think you'll enjoy it. So I'll give him that little plug there. He's helped me out in the past plugging my shows, and I'll return the favor for him. I've got 5 articles for you in this episode, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. First one here is off of BizPack Review, and it says, VA kept child molester on payroll, rehired a killer after he got out of prison. Folks. Department of Veterans Affairs, VA Hospital held a job open for its accountant while he served a prison term for killing a man, and also hired a convicted child molester and then kept him on the rolls as a health aide while he repeatedly reoffended. Caller News Foundation's investigative group has learned. Kevin Campbell, the health aide, pled guilty to felony sexual abuse of a minor in 2002, according to the court records reviewed by the DCNF. At the Anchorage, Alaska VA, multiple employees of the hospital said he was subsequently arrested for stabbing a man with a bottle while skipping work, and that the department kept him on the payroll while he went back to jail. Court records show that in 2001, Campbell was charged with harassment and family violence and assault. 2004. He pled guilty to a DUI in November of 2004. He was charged with failing to register as a sex offender in 2005, and in 2009 with an alcohol offense. He was charged in April of 2013 with another incident of family violence and pled guilty to disorderly conduct and was found guilty of violating the conditions of his release. He was charged in October of 2013 with DUI and leaving the scene of a crash, and pled guilty to refusing to take a breath test. In January 2015, he was charged with family violence, yet again for assault in the presence of a child, and pled guilty to disorderly conduct. In February of 2015, he was charged with a felony assault, drug possession, and failure to register as a sex offender. He pled guilty to misdemeanor assault in 2016 to resolve that case. Not be reached for comment. VA spokesman Randy Noller refused to provide the dates of Campbell's employment, but said he is not a current employee. Federal pay records show he drew a salary between at least the years of 2010 through 2015. Noller said the convicted killer Michael N. Alvin is still on the government payroll. Alvin works as head accountant at the same federal hospital, which held his job for him while he was in prison and prompted him. The VA Employee Union local president at the time, Kevin McGee, admitted to intervening to make this happen. I said, give him a chance, why not? McGee told the DCNF. Managers of the VA facility acquiesced. Alvin left a man for dead that driving drunk, said Tammy Schuyler, who replaced McGee as union president. Another employee said Alvin was unrepentant. He's as arrogant about it as anyone I've ever met, not ashamed that he killed a guy. Alvin worked for the Alaska VA HCS as an accountant technician from 1995 through 1996 and as a civilian paid technician from 2000 to the present. Court records show Alvin was charged with manslaughter in 1996 and took a plea deal that resulted in a conviction for criminally negligent homicide. He was released by 2000, but in 2003, prosecutors accused him of violating his probation. In addition to working as an accountant for the Anchorage VA, Alvin served as vice president of the local American Federation of Government Employees, the AFGE union, and also operated a side firm that did the union's taxes. The union was faulted for tax problems. McGee was convicted of fraud, but the VA did not fire McGee. The Department of Labor says federal law provides that conviction for several types of crimes will bar a person from serving as union officer, including but not limited to the following examples: generic criminal offenses, specific specifically murder, assault with intent to kill, assault that inflicts grievous bodily injury, rape, arson, extortion, burglary, grand larceny, robbery, bribery, embezzlement, and any crime that is equivalent to the above crimes. The bar ends 13 years after conviction. AFGE union spokesman Tim Kaufman had no response when provided with records documenting Alvin's conviction and his union role less than 13 years later. Alvin did not respond to a request for comment. Schuyler told the DCNF, Alvin is one of two payroll technicians, the lead at that, at the VA, with access to complete information on every employee to include their full name, social security number, address, grade, payroll deductions, leave balances, etc. Yes, a convicted dishonest felon with access to confidential information on every Alaska VA employee. Noller didn't acknowledge any bad hiring judgment, simply saying it operated within the confines of the OPM policies and guidance and complied with hiring practices. The VA's current union contract requires the department give priority to current former federal employees, including those previously fired, even over veterans when filling many jobs. Employs numerous child molesters, rapists, and kidnappers, but justified the practice by saying only those who have turned their lives around are hired. 3 sex offenders currently being sought by the local police list the Detroit VA as their work address, but a spokesman for that facility refuses to provide information, citing federal employee rights. The VA has spent significant sums on its I Care initiative, convincing veterans that it accepts only employees who care about choosing the harder instead of the easier wrong. AFGE has kept workers charged in deaths on government payroll with little pushback from management, including Frederick Kevin Harris, who collected a check from his jail cell while awaiting manslaughter charges in the beating death of an elderly veteran. The death was an accident, but witnesses, the coroner, and the prosecutors all found clear evidence otherwise. The next article is off of BizPac Review. Bully attorney Gloria Allred's world gets rocked with misconduct claim. High-profile attorney Gloria Allred is allegedly being investigated by the State Bar of California for misconduct, but the renowned civil rights attorney is refuting the report. The State Bar has not disclosed what the investigation is about, and no formal charges have been filed against Allred, who is known for working on celebrity cases with those involving women's issues, according to a report from Law News on Friday. Representing several women who say they were sexually assaulted by Bill Cosby, and she recently announced a defamation lawsuit against President Donald Trump on behalf of former Apprentice contestant Summer Zervos, who alleged her during filming of the show. Someone has attempted to shake me down by threatening to report me to the state bar unless I paid him a large sum of money, Allred said in a statement released Friday. I refuse to pay this individual any amount of money. I will not be threatened or bullied by false accusations. Reported that it had seen a copy of the California Bar's letter, and Allred's case has been forwarded to the State Bar Enforcement Unit for further investigation and possible prosecution, but the attorney said she has seen no such letter. Hard to notify lawyers in the event of any investigation. We have not been notified by the State Bar of any complaint or any investigation, she said in the statement. Not all complaints to the State Bar are sent to the enforcement unit, according to their website. If it appears, however, that the attorney may be a repeat offender or have committed a violation where there is serious likelihood of discipline being imposed, an investigator and a bar prosecutor from the enforcement unit take over the investigation, the website states. The fact that the complaint against Allred was taken up the chain is noteworthy, according to some experts, Law News reported, although she has no previous history of being disciplined. I have a spotless record with the State Bar in more than 40 years that I have been an attorney, Allred stated. I have no intention of allowing anyone to harm my reputation by making allegations against me which have no merit. A former client of Allred's issued a statement Friday saying he was notified of the investigation and is cooperating with the state bar, according to the order. Allred represented television meteorologist Kyle Hunter in a discrimination lawsuit against CBS in 2012. I do not know the matters being investigated by the bar, but it could be in regards to allegations or alleged egregious conflicts of interest and self-dealing by Ms. Allred, Hunter said. While representing me in an employment discrimination case against CBS Broadcasting, she worked without my knowledge to secure herself in a television series with CBS based on her life, a deal, in fact, she did strike and became a major stakeholder and executive producer. Website to hold Allred accountable for the legal malpractice, conflicts of interest, and lack of integrity. California State Bar cannot confirm or deny the existence of an investigation, reported, and a complaint can only become public following the filing of disciplinary charges in the State Bar Court. Let's off of BizPack Review. Calls employer tries to get conservative student fired in retribution for political disagreement. University history professor called the employers of at least two conservatives, one a current student, in retribution over a political disagreement on Facebook. Elizabeth Bishop, who is allegedly rumored to become the next dean of College of Liberal Arts, made phone calls to employers and a university department in an attempt to punish the two conservatives who disagree with her in a Facebook discussion. Thankfully, my employer laughed the ordeal off after seeing that the allegations of hate speech were false. The Facebook status in question was initially posted by Colton Duncan, the student body vice president, but was apparently later removed by Facebook for violating community standards. Duncan decried the Texas state apparent double standard in allowing radical communist Angela Davis to speak on campus, calling her an American terrorist, but not allowing the college Republicans to hold a woman's empowerment summit. The status soon developed into a debate over the relative merits of capitalism and communism, where Alexander Morissette, Texas Public Policy Foundation, and Bishop began commenting at each other. That in this article, if you want to take a look at it. When we live in an era when university students can't tell the difference between Stalin and Hitler, Bishop wrote, like they fought World War II as enemies. Enemies can have similar goals, interests, and dreams of autocratic control. Their debate continued in relatively the same vein, but things escalated when the Texas Public Policy Foundation received a call from Bishop the next day asking if Morissette was one of its employees. Bishop contended in the call that Morissette had made a disparaging Facebook post about her, but refused to provide details on what the post said. The employee who answered the call said she would talk to Morissette about his Facebook habits, and Bishop hung up the phone shortly thereafter. Seemingly unsatisfied with the foundation's response, as Morissette said they laughed the ordeal off, Bishop set her sights on an anonymous student who had liked several of Morissette's comments. Bishop allegedly called the university department where the student works and requested they investigate her and her associates for hate speech, and further demanded that the student be removed from her leadership position on campus. Heard of this development, he said it was worse than she levied her threats at students who are still directly subjected to her authority on campus. Thankfully, my employer laughed the ordeal off after seeing that the allegations of hate speech were false, Morissette explained. The employers on college campuses, especially campuses that are so rife with politically correct culture, may not be so judicious in their evaluation of these kinds of claims. Duncan said he was shocked to hear of Bishop's calls to employers over his Facebook status and asserted that he would be deeply disappointed if the rumors about Bishop becoming dean turn out to be true. Someone like that with so little to no respect for the First Amendment has no business educating the next generation of leaders, Duncan stated. The political science department has pumped out a good number of leaders, public servants, or leaders in the private sector. I shudder at the thought of this woman wielding any authority process. Duncan has received his fair share of criticism for Facebook status, receiving a number of calls and emails that prompted him to hold an unofficial press conference. Reached out to Texas State University and Bishop for comment, but did not receive a response by press time. The article is off of Liberty Headlines, and it says, Students' Rights Group begin litigation against campus speech zones. Dedicated to protecting the constitutional rights of students, college students, has helped file the first lawsuit as part of a new campaign to end free speech zones on college campuses. For individual rights and education, helped Los Angeles Pierce College student Kevin Shaw file a lawsuit after he was told he could hand out U.S. constitutions only in a tiny sector of the campus. The size of the free speech zone at the Pierce College to be equivalent to an iPhone on a tennis court. Shaw tried to pass out Spanish language versions of the Constitution in an attempt to recruit new members for the Young Americans for Liberty, a right-leaning student organization. An administrator told him he could not hand out literature outside of the campus free speech zone, and that if he wanted to do it there, he would have to fill out a permit. He was also told he would be kicked off campus if he did not comply. When I attempted to hand out copies of the Constitution that day, my only intention was to get students thinking about our founding principles and to inspire discussions of liberty and free speech, Shaw said in a statement released by Fire. I had no idea I would be called upon to defend those very ideals against Pierce's unconstitutional campus policies. This fight is about a student's right to engage in free thinking and debate in America. Pierce College is one of 9 schools in the Los Angeles Community College District with a network of about 150,000 students. It is the largest community college district in the country. The district has a policy requiring the president of each college to designate a free speech zone on campus. Opponents of free speech zones consider while idea to be upside down, an implication that free speech cannot be practiced anywhere else on campus. In a statement to the Los Angeles Daily News, the LACCD policy and commitment to the First Amendment. The Los Angeles Community College District is behind every student's right to free expression, said District Consultant Yusef Robb. We have no further comment on the lawsuit at this time. Shaw's lawsuit is the very first in Fire's Million Voices campaign, which aims to free 1 million student voices by striking down unconstitutional speech code nationwide, according to the organization's director of litigation, Tuthill Beck-Kuhn. The campaign is part of the organization's Stand Up for Free Speech litigation project, which launched in 2014. Fire's legal network says the project has won 9 victories that resulted in policy changes affecting more than 600,000 students, as well as winning damages and attorney's fees of more than $400,000. And the final article that I have for you is off of BizPac Review. It says, University has Buzzfeed editor come lecture students about the dangers of fake news. BuzzFeed editor visited Pennsylvania State University Thursday to give presentation on fake news and Facebook's role in spreading it. Silverman, whom Fortune has called a fake news expert, spoke at Penn State regarding fake news and Facebook's role in propagating it during the election, as reported by It's crazy, but misinformation about American politics has actually become good business opportunity, said Silverman. In fake news, real consequences, Silverman called 2016 presidential election the perfect storm for fake news. Condemned fake news for causing both journalists and the audience to question the reliability of media outlets instead of paying attention to significant articles. They need to be held responsible, said Silverman, referring to Facebook and proposing that the site change its algorithm so that fake news doesn't get boosted via social media so easily. Weng Zi, a finance student, commented on President Trump's labeling of certain outlets as fake news. It's ridiculous, he noted, describing the nicknames Trump has given these outlets. It devalues the term fake news when we just throw the phrase around, stated Yash, a political science and economics student. But just a few weeks ago, in early March, Buzzfeed was called out by WikiLeaks for propagating fake news. Buzzfeed put out a tweet that says Apple says it has patched the vulnerabilities mentioned in the WikiLeaks dump of the CIA cyber tools. And WikiLeaks tweeted back, BuzzFeed News, no, it doesn't. Our initial analysis indicates that many of these issues leaked today were already patched in the latest iOS, said Apple, according to BuzzFeed's own article. Have all the news that I have for you this morning. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to be entertained, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. That way you'll stay informed.